Alright guys, so today is currently October 2nd. I took two trades today. One resulted in a $98 win, and the other one resulted in a $51 loss. So I'm just going to get straight into it. Alright, so on the 15-minute time frame, we do have resting buy side up here and a break of structure lower, right? And at this point, I probably would have thought that okay, we have a break of structure lower. There's a fair value gap right over here, and price could potentially continue lower like this, something like this, right? To go down. But in my head, I was like, there's no real reason for price to continue lower because we have generated buy side. Sell side just got swept right over here. I mean, yes, we could go down lower, but I doubt it because if you look over here, we swept all the sell side. So at this point, I think price can go higher, even though we have a 15-minute break of structure to the downside. So I moved to the 5-minute time frame, and at this point I'm like, okay, I see more generated buy side resting up here, and here we have a break of structure to the upside. I also marked out the 2 AM high and the 2 AM low, and for my strategy, usually I would wait for the sweep of either the high or the low, and then a continuation either lower or higher, right? So for example, usually when we sweep the high up here, I look for a retracement to continue lower. But on the higher time frame, I didn't believe that price would continue lower because we swept all the sell side, and at this point we have a break of structure on the 5-minute higher, retracement into this order block to continue higher. That was the whole idea. So 5-minute time frame, we're looking for price to continue higher, and we also have a break of structure higher. Now we're on the 1 minute. Price is fractal, so we also have a break of structure on the 1 minute as well. We retrace into this order block, and there was a little part of me that was like, okay, there is 1 minute resting sell side over here, which is why I gave my trade a lot more room. I was still risking only $50, but I didn't put a stop loss at these lows over here. We also have a fair value gap back here, and that's why I placed my low, or my stop loss right over here. So as you can see, once we broke structure higher, I was looking for a retracement into a fair value gap to continue higher, and we got that, right? I set my limit order once we got this break of structure and price started to continue lower, and once we got entered, I was like, okay, this is a pretty clean trade. Like right off the bat, we're not experiencing much drawdown, and price is going straight to TP basically, right? We were almost there, and price immediately retraces back to zero or break even, right? And at this point, I'm like low-key hesitating, or like my emotions are all over the place because we have resting sell side here that like, what's stopping price from just coming down and then continuing up, right? But you know what? Like that honestly would have been mentally damaging for me, like at least a little bit. So I should have taken some partials, but personally I just don't like doing that. I could have reduced my stop, but I noticed that sometimes when I do that, it would stop me out of the trade and then continue higher as well. So I just left it there. I was willing to lose the $50, right? Because the higher time frames were aligning. There's no reason for, in my head, on the higher time frame, there was no reason for price to continue lower, right? So price came down here, got entered, went up. I was up around like $75, went all the way back down to like zero and like negative like 5, I think, and eventually price just continued up. Very emotionally taxing, but we made it. So that was a cool quick trade. It took like what, almost 20 minutes. So yeah, that's all for this trade. Let's just move on to the next one. All right, so moving on to the next trade. We're currently on the 15-minute time frame, and there were two scenarios playing in my head, and that was accumulation right over here, manipulation, and distribution, right? So that was the first scenario. The second scenario was that, okay, we have a break of structure lower. We could potentially retrace into this inefficiency to come back down, right? And I was leaning more towards scenario 1, and that was because I didn't think price would go lower, right? I saw this as a sweep to continue higher and to take out all this buy side up here, even though we kind of took all this out. I was still aiming to go higher, right? Because we also have inefficiencies up here and equilibrium up here. So 15-minute, we have breaker structure. 5-minute, we have breaker structure lower. And at this point, I'm like, okay, let's just wait for a breaker structure higher. So as you can see on the 15-minute time frame, we clearly still broke structure higher. I drew a fib from the bottom to the top, and I marked out the equilibrium and this 15-minute fair value gap, right? Because I was looking for price to, continue back down to continue higher. Something like this, right? Because we just swept the high, and I'm looking for some kind of retracement, right? Let's move to the 5-minute. So as you can see, actually on the 15-minute, we still have breaker structure lower. However, I see this as the new breaker structure. So breaker structure higher on the 15-minute, breaker structure higher on the 5-minute, right? So it's clear that price would continue higher. However, I ended up taking a short position because I thought price could potentially retrace lower to continue higher, right? So we sweep the 9 a.m. high, we take out this high over here, and we create a breaker structure down here, right? So at this point, I'm like, okay, the draw right now in my head could be at 15-minute equilibrium or this 15-minute fair value gap. And we also have resting sell side generated right over here, right? And that's why I took the short. So honestly, it was going against the higher time frame biases. Like I should have just waited for a retracement and then continuation higher instead of taking the short as the retracement, right? So as you can see here, we entered off this fair value gap, and we broke structure higher and just got stopped out. Yeah, honestly, I should have waited for a retracement to go long instead of going against the trend. I just thought, price could potentially go down here to go higher. And what sucks is that this was after the New York session, or the 10 to 11 a.m. session. So we could have avoided a loss here. It sucks, but you know what? It is what it is. But I'm starting to see how fractal prices breaker structure on the 15-minute, right? And breaker structure on the 5-minute, breaker structure higher on the 1-minute, right here, right? So we're looking for some kind of potential retracement lower to continue higher at this point. But clearly I'm not going to trade this because it's not within the time frame. But yeah, I mean, that'll be all for now. I'll catch you guys in the next trade. All right, guys, so today's currently October 5th, 2024. And for the rest of the week, I only took one more trade, which resulted in a $10.38 profit. So I'm just going to go over it, and yeah, let's get into it. So basically, we're on the 15-minute time frame. We had a breaker structure up higher, and I was looking for price to retrace to this 15-minute fair value gap to continue higher. All right, so on the 5-minute, as you can see here, we have the breaker structure higher. We waited for a retracement into this 5-minute fair value gap, and the original entry was like this, the original limit order. So basically, price retraces lower to this 5-minute fair value gap. We get entered into a trade, and price comes up here, right? I take profit at a 1-to-1 at this high right here. Price comes back lower. And at this point, once we hit TP1, I move the stop loss up right over here. So price comes back down, goes back up, and as you can see, comes back down, which takes us out of the trade. So that resulted in the $10 win. I do know that taking partials will definitely mess up the risk to reward, but I think it is definitely beneficial, right? Because for this trade, or because usually, right, once we hit like a 1-to-2 or a 1-to-1, we would move the stop loss to break even. and that would either, like, price would either come back up and then, you know, come back all the way down and stop us out. So that means we literally didn't make anything, right? But now with taking partials, we make something and we reduce the risk. I haven't decided on whether or not to reduce the stop loss or to just leave it alone when we do take partials, but we'll see. So yeah, I mean, overall this trade was all right. You know, we did definitely like leave some profit on the table over here, but you know what, it is what it is. It's a winning trade, I guess. So for this week, we ended up making a whopping $2.78 on the account. And let me show you the overall. We're currently negative $573 on the account, which is roughly 5.7%. For the rest of the week, I didn't end up trading because, you know, I didn't really see any opportunity. I mean, there was definitely opportunity. I was just, you know, not in the headspace to take the trades. So yeah, I mean, that'll be all for now. I'll catch you guys later. Alright, so that'll be all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And there is also a free Discord, link in the description below. I look forward to seeing you guys there. And yeah, for those of you who are watching, we just gotta keep going. I forgot who said this quote, but I want to say it was Kim Kardashian. And I think it goes along the lines of, I didn't come this far just to come this far. And honestly, that's so true. I think it's been, I want to say like nine months into the journey. Honestly, I don't even know if we're even a little bit better. I mean, at least I like to think we are. But yeah, I mean, you know, it takes time. And I'm willing to put in the work. And I know you guys are too. So let's do it. Anyways, guys, peace.